Boom, we're live here at Run Pure Sports. We got UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus NASCIMENTO here, the main fight on the card. And I got the full crew for MMA winners today. We got JBC finally off the toilet here on a Saturday. Dan, as usual, giving winners. And Showdown Christine, ready for some dog takes from Showdown Christine. I got to throw it to my man JBC, though, first. Off that 66K winner a couple days ago. You ready for some MMA winners?
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I can't believe that we have Rodrigo Nascimento headlining a card, but here we are.
This is what we're doing right now. Dan, slow clapping for JBC. Hopefully it's you taking down a big tournament today, so I don't have to friggin' blow JBC for another weekend.
Yeah, fuck JBC. Today's all man, or one of our subscribers. Honestly, anyone but JBC, I'm good with.
I'm with that.
Yeah, he's too rich. Fuck that guy, all right? Showdown Christine, win some giblets today so we can give you love and not friggin' JBC.
Yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah, all right. Well, all right. Enough shaming, JBC. JBC, we missed you last week. But one fight I did want to touch on before we started this card was the Erceg Pantoja fight. Yeah. You weren't on to give your Erceg take. I know you were high on Erceg. Yeah. We were obviously pretty high on Pantoja on the show. And honestly, I just want to say, I don't feel like I was wrong, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I was right. Even though I picked the right winner, I was wrong from the standpoint of Erceg had no shot. Erceg wasn't as live as I thought. And you thought he was really live. And to credit you, you said it from the beginning of the week, and I know because I was on other shows with you. So I thought that was one thing I took away was, yes, Pantoja won. I think, yes, he should have won as well, but I also thought it was really close in that fifth round really determined the winner, and Erceg just made some mistakes that maybe if he had more fight time, more 5-round fights in the cage, in the UFC, maybe he wouldn't have made those mistakes, but I still, credit that, you had the take that he was definitely live. What'd you think of that fight? And did you kind of see it the way I saw it, where it was really close? It was the fifth round and he made some boneheaded mistakes.
Well, I think at the end of the day, the line ended up being pretty accurate. Pantoja was laying minus 170, minus 180 by the end.
Yep.
And it was about, that was definitely a fight that he probably wins 60 to 65% of the time. So it ended up being, bookmakers sometimes know what they're doing. And by that, I mean, the market tends to sharpen up when people put money into it. And it ended up in the right place. Erceg had his shot and he lost.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely had a shot. I don't think he got robbed, by the way. Some people thought he got robbed. I don't think he got robbed.
2 and 4.
I think he had his chance to win.
Yeah.
I think he had his chance to win in the fifth round, and he didn't win.
And he had more gas in the tank than Pantoja did, and he still managed to lose the round.
Yeah. I think that's when he was going for those takedowns, though. I think he was thinking in the back of his mind, man, if I get this guy down, he might not be able to get up. He's so tired.
Right.
But the scrambles are just where you don't want to challenge Pantoja. The dude is just a master.
You are a white dude fighting a Brazilian. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steve Erceg is legit on the ground, too. I think he showed it with some of the reversals.
Yeah.
Pantoja had him on his back a few times where I was like, oh, this dude might not get up. And then he'd reverse position. And I was like, shit. Okay, Erceg's actually pretty legit on the ground, because most people don't do that to Pantoja. But Dan, what'd you think of that fight? Did you see it kind of the way we're talking?
Yeah, totally. I thought it was more I think maybe I was watching with a little bit of bias, but I thought Pantoja was winning that pretty handedly for the majority of the fight. JBC goaded me into hitting the live number. He's like, well, if you're so confident, hit this. Shout out to JBC the GOAT. Money. I just caved to fucking peer pressure, man. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun card. I honestly, I thought we were gonna give JBC credit for his Anthony Smith call.
Yeah. What about that?
I actually totally forgot about that fight. I'll give you credit for that call. That's a great call right there. Did you have him winning inside the distance too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's badass right there. Did you sprinkle a little bit of cheese on it?
It wasn't like a crazy big bet. I mean, he was a plus 400 or whatever the hell. It went exactly how the only way that he could really win, which is Petrino doing something wildly stupid and then him just subbing him, which is it worked.
I mean,
He called out the champion.
I didn't account for Petrino literally running headfirst into Anthony Smith. But that's what we got. So
that is a lot of MMA arguments end up being like, which guy is going to be more stupid? Like Steve Erceg lost the main event because he was stupid.
Yeah.
Same thing.
A lot of times in the cage, the fight IQ is a big deal, JVC, and doing stupid things can lose you fights. Yeah. It doesn't matter how talented you are or if you're like not as talented, because at the end of the day, a fight is a fight, and someone who does something stupid can easily get caught, and he got caught in a submission really quick. And it was funny too, because the Anthony Smith, like Alex Ferreira, they were talking about doing like a grappling 50K, and stuff like that. And he's like, I wanted to get a sub so bad. And they had the thing with Alex Pereira, like when he was coming out, he was asleep, he was fake asleep, like, and stuff like that. So I did think it was kind of cool, that aspect. But Showdown Christine, what did you think of last week's fight, especially the Erceg Pantoja fight? I don't know which side you were on that. Were you on the Pantoja or Erceg side?
Oh, I was definitely on Pantoja. I was trolling JBC heavy. He wasn't happy, but I was happy.
It's always good time when you control JBC. I'll tell you that. It's always good. It's so good.
My dog pick is just killing him and his soul every single week.
Oh yeah, you were on Aldo with me, weren't you?
Yeah, she's been beating me into the ground.
Yes, I love that. Jose Aldo, dog pick. It was a great dog pick.
I agree though. Like, he shouldn't have been going for takedowns. That last takedown attempt just killed him for the Erceg favorite,
100%. 100%. All right, let's get into this card here, and we'll start from the bottom, work our way up to the main event. And we got Aldridge and Hardy as the first fight on the card to kick things off here. Probably one of those fights for DFS where I don't know how interested you guys are. They are priced at 8,200, 8K, but it doesn't seem like the best fight for DFS. Dan, I'll start with you here. What's like the upside for these girls from a DFS perspective? Because I feel like this is a decision fight, which I feel like there's a lot of fights on this card that could go to decision, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I struggle to see the upside for the fight as a whole, but especially on the Aldridge side. I just don't, at like 8K, I don't see how she's getting there, Decision merchant, doesn't like really hit hard. The grappling, the wrestling is not like, you're not really expecting points from that. I think your best case scenario, if you want an optimal from this fight, is probably on the Hardy side, just because I think Hardy, and the odds imply this as well, that Hardy is more live for a finish. I think like submission is probably her most likely path to a finish. Yeah. So that's really like best case. You're hoping for like a Hardy round round two sub, which she's definitely live for. But this might be my least favorite fight on the entire card. And I'm pretty sure that's like the consensus amongst the field and the industry, et cetera. And you know me, like usually I would love to find an excuse to like swerve onto a woman's fight, but I'm having a really hard time with this one. So gonna be pretty right here.
It makes sense. Like Aldridge, outside of the Na fight where she actually got the finish and stuff like that, and like every other fight that she's won, she's probably not really optimally covering this price tag at 8K. So I think she kind of would need to finish. And if you like her for DFS, that's kind of your path. And I just don't see her finishing Hardy. JBC, I don't know if you see it the same way. It feels like Hardy may be the better DFS play because she's got like that takedown upside maybe and the grappling upside, but I don't see it in this fight. What do you think?
Well, an interesting part of this fight to me is that like if you look at Dan's projected ownership numbers, Tabitha Ricci at 8,300 versus Hardy at 8,200, Ricci's projected to be about double owned versus Hardy when I feel like they're the same play. So that to me would be a reason to swerve onto Hardy. She's only plus 500 to finish inside the distance. That's a pretty decent number. It's not like amazing, but if she's getting a finish, 15-16% of the time, it's probably worth committing something to it, because if she finishes her, she might score a lot. We know how they score significant strikes a little simpler or a little easier in women's fights. She could, she might be able to get a lot.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Matty Ice. He said that Vitor was overrated in the chat. I'll give him a shout out from last week, Dan, because I remember Matty Ice saying this, and he was right. A little overrated for Mr. Vitor. So you got to give my guy Matty Ice some credit. But Showdown Christine, who do you got winning this fight, Hardy and Aldridge? And do you think there's upside for DFS?
I like Hardy personally. I just think that she's on a hot streak. I think she's training with her husband, Dan Hardy. She's looked really good recently. JJ Aldridge is guys where, she fights a lot. She's active and she's tough, like she can definitely stay in it for 15 minutes. I think they both can, but I just don't see how they're going to score for DFS. I just don't think that they have any finishing upside. I think it might be I don't see a lot of grappling. I just think they're gonna, jab for jab, and it's just gonna be a lower score compared to all these other fights on the card.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't see grappling upside for Hardy, then I would say you probably want to fade this fight for sure. If you think it's just going to be a striking decision battle, which it does feel like. I got Aldridge just because I think these girls are closer or should be closer, and she's a dog right now, and I'll just take the shot on the dog here. I think that Hardy kind of can fade later in fights, and Aldridge, can win maybe the later rounds. It's probably going to end up being like something like a split decision, though, where these fights are probably very close. So I'm going to take the dog shot. But it seems like we're split. JBC, were you on Hardy or Aldridge for the fight?
I'm on Aldridge, but it's not a very strong opinion. It's one of my lower bets of the day.
Yeah. All right. Well, 2 for 2, but definitely a closely lined fight here. Next fight, another interesting fight here. We got Hadley and Johnson. Charles Johnson coming off that win against Maxim, where early it looked rough, but he weathered the storm and found a way to get it done. And I think he gets it done here again. I really like Charles Johnson for a bet. For DFS, I don't think he's a very good play again. I don't think his upside is very high. But at the same time, I like him as a dog here from the betting side. JBC, what do you like here in this fight, Hadley and Johnson?
I'm in big on Johnson. I really like him in this fight. I agree with you that I think it's very unlikely to get to a finish. It reminds me of the fight we just talked about, only on a male version. And I think Johnson's the better fighter and he should be favored. So taking that 110 is pretty easy for me.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Christine, who you like here between Johnson and Hadley, and do you see upside in DFS?
So this one's a tough one for me because Johnson gets taken down an astronomical amount of times in his fights. I have that he's averaging 14.3 takedowns against per 15 minutes. So but he has scrambling ability. So that's not like, it's not a death sentence to him. And he's not really a finisher. He has lower volume. If Hadley isn't able to take him down, I think Johnson is better on the feet. And I think I'm more on Johnson here. And also like Hadley has like historically bad weight cuts, and he looked fine on the scales, but he might not perform well for that reason. So the only thing for me is if Hadley gets Johnson to the ground, he could possibly rack up a ton of takedowns because Makayev took him down 12 times, Durden 11 times. So there's a potential there, but I'm more on Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, those guys though are high volume like wrestlers though, like where they're throwing it up every single time. So maybe that happens. The good thing about Johnson is he's getting up. Like he might get taken down, but he's not like just staying there. He's at least getting back up to his feet. When you have that many per round per fight takedowns or whatever, that means that you're at least not settling on your back, right? He's at least trying to get back to his feet. Dan, what do you see here, Johnson? It seems like we're all kind of heavy on Johnson here, at least from the betting side. What do you got? You're on mute. You're on mute. It's the first time. It's 4 people. It's tough, I will say.
I think last time Johnson was on a slate, he was optimal, actually. He scored like 70 something at like 7,300. He was like a really good leverage piece there. But I'm actually on Hadley on this fight. I think he's got more finishing upside. I think he finishes this fight, round 1, round 2. He was super close to finishing Durden his last time out, and Durden was saved by the bell. It was also in that fight. Like, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about like Hadley's got kind of like suspect cardio, et cetera. And that may be true, but I think it's kind of important to note, like, in that fight against Durden, it did go all 3 rounds, and he got cut really early in that fight and was bleeding like profusely, but was still in it up until the end. Like, clearly it affected him. So I think maybe the cardio concerns, like if you're just looking at his last time out, it might be a little bit overblown. But I also think people just don't like Hadley. Like, I know I've played him a couple times, and he's completely like shit the bed for me. So I think he's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, but he's going to be one of the less popular favorites. And I think he's got better finishing upside than the odds imply, to be perfectly honest. And Johnson, I think people, on the flip side, like, people don't like Hadley. People like Johnson. Like, leading up to his last fight against Maxim, kind of like the vibe around Johnson was he was better than his record and his performances entail, because he took so many fights on short notice and like put himself in kind of bad career positions. But I think like the pendulum has kind of swung too far in that direction. So I think
that is true though. Like, he has
put
himself in bad spots and taken stuff on short notice, where that's not the case here.
Yeah, you're making me like Johnson even more.
Yeah, like your argument actually put me higher on Johnson at the end, which does happen sometimes. Like, that does happen, but I get what you're saying about Hadley. He definitely is like more of the scarier, like from a finish perspective guy. Like, I don't know if Johnson's going to come out and if he finishes them, it's with like somehow volume and wearing him down in the 3rd round. Like, if you like him to finish, I'd look at like 3rd round or something like that, where he wears Hadley down to the point where Hadley just does gas out and then he finds a finish. But
I think Hadley definitely I think he has the like a slight wrestling advantage, and he has the grappling advantage. I guess I'm just lower on Johnson than most people, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe I'm better for his time out.
All right, we got 3-1. Dan is solely on. So this doesn't happen very often too on the show. Dan is solely on the favorite here. We're all on the dog from the betting side. It does seem like Dan's higher on Hadley for DFS. JBC, were you in on Hadley for DFS? Is he someone that you want to be like over on in MMA, or are you just kind of lower on this fight?
I wasn't, but like after Christine's statistic about how often Johnson's gotten taken down, even though it was by Durden and Mokaev. I mean, if there's obviously some upside there if Hadley's gonna hump him the whole time. So I might bump him a little bit now.
All right, a little more for the takedown upside, I guess. For the Hadley side, when it comes to DFS, that is important. Let's go to the Goff Waters fight here. Goff 7,400, Waters 8,800, and I like the dog here in this fight. I think Goff can make this fight kind of a dirty fight. Waters, he wants to use his reach, stay kind of on the outside, in and out, and just use his length and his height to his advantage. Where if you get someone that's going to kind of challenge him, get inside, get kind of dirty with them, it definitely makes it harder. If you're just going to stand though at his range and box and fight with him like that, then you're probably going to lose. But I don't think Goff's going to fight that way. I think he's going to try and make it dirty, mix it up, get inside, and I think he can win some of those exchanges. And at 7,400, I think he's a decent DFS dog for your lineups. Dan, I see you kind of shaking your head. Are you on Goff here or the Water side?
I'm mega caffeinated. I'm just like shaking in my seat.
You strike me as a monster drink guy. Are you like one of those like high energy monster drink guys?
Dude, I used to drink like multiple Red Bulls a day, but I had to cut that shit out. But now, like, if I'm on vacation, like JBC knows, like if we're in Vegas, like at the casino, whatever, I'm just like crushing Red Bulls at the blackjack.
Oh, dude. When we're at the club, we got to get Dan like an entire pallet of Red Bulls.
I actually see that. Like I just picture you as a kid, as a dude, just walking around with Red Bulls, like
double fisting Red Bulls.
Yeah, like I just picture it.
Yep, my one of my few vices that I have left. But I really like Waters here, man. This is like another spot where you've got a dog that the public seems to love in Goff, and like I get it. He pushes the pace, like he can definitely. I mean, like he's one of those guys that you love for DFS, targeting both sides of the fight because he is going to force the issue and make shit happen. And like Trey Waters, from what we've seen from him, is more of a like low volume, uses his length to kind of like work from the outside. He likes to counter punch. So that can lead to like some more slow paced affairs, but I'm not worried about that with Goff on the other side. And I think Waters is like the more technically sound fighter all around. But it's like in the striking, especially. So I think Goff, who we've seen Goff, like he's one of those guys that we talk about where it's like people are like, yeah, he's got that dog in him. Like he gets the shit beat out of him, but he just keeps going. He keeps going. And it's like, well, we only know that because he gets the shit beat out of him. And like, you know, he's been very close to getting finished in a lot of his fights, and he just somehow doesn't. But I think the other shoe is going to drop on that pretty soon. And I think Waters is in a good spot to do it.
Shout out to Big T. Jared Goff season. I like it. He's on the Goff side. JVC, Goff side or Waters side? I do like Dan's point about at least Goff makes Waters like a better DFS play just with his style. If you're on the Waters side, it's probably a better DFS play than you would think just on the surface. But what do you see?
I think Goff drags him into a coin flip situation where they're just clanging and banging. And so in that situation, I'm always going to go with the underdog as far as a bet. So I like Goff as a bet, but for DFS, I'm definitely playing both of them. Like I got both sides a lot. I think that we get a finish, and I think that we get a finish pretty early.
I like it. I see it too. I think there could be a finish early. I like that take from you. Showdown Christine. We're kind of split here. We think that this fight could be an early finish, but which side are you on, Goff or Waters?
Goff is my dog pick of the week, so definitely on Goff. I think he's gritty. I think he's going to out volume Waters. I think he definitely goes for more takedowns per 15 minutes, so we like those stats. He's got 63% takedown accuracy. And you're saying it's cliche, but he does have that dog in him. So he's going to fight for your money. I like his price, and I think he'll get it done.
Yep. 7,400 on DraftKings does feel like a nice little DK play if you like him to win this fight. Or finish, of course, but good DFS fight, I think, in general. Whatever side you're on, I think it's a good fight to target. Next fight here, we got Pennington or Tisha Torres, wherever you want to call her. But Pennington, 7,900, Ricci, 8,300 on DraftKings. And this fight, to me, JBC kind of touched on it with the Hardy fight, where like Ricci's going to be way more popular. I think it's a lot to do with the fact that she's a more known female fighter than Hardy on top of it. But they are, to me, kind of similar plays where Ricci's upside is takedowns. And if you watch the Loopy fight, the reason why she lost to Loopy was Loopy stopped the takedowns, and then her forward pressure, putting Ricci on her back foot, she ended up outstriking her and winning that fight. And, Tisha Torres or Pennington is known for someone who is got speed on the feet, and she's in and out. They're not like I don't think there's going to be a finish though in this fight. I think this fight does go to decision. So to me, it's just, can Pennington stop the takedowns? If she can stop the takedowns, stay on the outside, get in and out, I think she could volume her up and win a decision here. So I'm on the Pennington side from the betting perspective. I don't think she's like an amazing DFS play, but at 7,900, I'm going to have some of her just because on volume alone, I've seen her at least have some decent outings in DFS. So I don't think it's crazy to play some of her if I think she wins. But if you like the Ricci side, her upside is definitely takedowns in my opinion. So that's the way I see this fight going. Can Ricci get the takedowns? If not, I think Pennington pieces her up on the feet. Christine, we'll start with you here. What do you like, Ricci and Pennington?
I like Ricci for a lot of different reasons. Pennington had a 2-year layoff. She just had a baby. She is more experienced, but she's a lot older. I think, Ricci's 5 years younger than her, the baby shark. So I think it's going to go to decision, definitely. The over 2.5 is at -500. So I don't see a finish here. I think I don't like the price either. I'm probably going to be under on this fight. And I'm going to go with Baby Shark.
I'll just say this. Pennington just had a kid like 2 years ago. My God, she looks great for just having a kid.
She does. No, she's ripped. She's ripped.
No, I mean, both girls are honestly ripped. So, like, I'm not saying Ricci looks amazing too, but I'm just saying, like, she just had a baby and man, she looks fucking great for just having a baby.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's definitely unreal. JBC, what do you see here in this fight? I think it's a very close fight. Like, I don't have a super strong opinion either way, but I could see it going either way. What do you got?
Are we finally at the point in the evolution of women's MMA where we actually have some significant statistics on women's, like their first fight after having a baby? This is her first fight after having a baby, right? Because I remember like Mackenzie Dern came back too quickly after having a baby and got her ass kicked. So it's like, I feel like there is some risk there. It has been quite a while for her, but
her last fight was a split decision to Dern, where she ended up losing her last.
And I thought she won that fight.
I did too, but I thought it was very close. I did think she won, but
yeah. So I mean,
that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is like under normal circumstances, I would think that Tisha would kick her ass, but because of the layoff, the baby, everything, you're getting a price on her that I think is favorable when she probably would have been favored in this fight 2 years ago. So I'm gonna go with Tisha here.
Yep. I definitely think if it wasn't for the baby and everything and the layoff, she would be favored. So I agree with you. I'm taking that price on her. Dan, what are you seeing here for DFS? Do you like this fight?
Muted.
You gotta click the mute button.
I'm in like a full house right now. That's my bad. Yeah, I don't love this for DFS. And the thing is like, I agree with y'all. I'm on the Tisha side. Which is probably why I don't like this as much for DFS, because I think the upside lies with Ricci, obviously, with like the takedowns and the grappling. But to that point, that's like where Ricci has the advantage, right? Like the wrestling, the grappling. But I just don't think I don't think it's pronounced enough to make enough of a difference in the striking. Like Ricci's striking is not fun to watch.
Dude, she punches at air half the time. She half strikes half the time. Like literally, they were talking about it her last fight where she's like, either she's not like just fully committing on striking, or she's just like trying to act like she's active by like punching air half the time. Yeah. Like it's bad.
And you watch like Pennington's fight against Dern, and that's like an ultra competitive fight with lots of heavy grappling exchanges, tons of scrambles, wrestling, etc. Dern is a terrible wrestler, but the grappling is on point, and Pennington held her own with her. So, and I thought Pennington, I think you could have made an argument that she also won that fight. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm on Pennington, man. I'm just going to go with the far superior striker, more experience. I'm not worried about the baby. It's like 2 years ago. Her wife is the current bantamweight champion, so the training is on point. Not concerned.
Yeah, I will just say it's different too when you got a girl in Mackenzie Dern who at least she's fucking dangerous if you go down with her. Like, that's the one thing about Dern. Like, yeah, she's not a good wrestler. She doesn't have great takedowns,
but she's crazy.
She's crazy and she finds ways to get you down. And I think that was what was making Torres even more hesitant in like longer. If you watched her, it was like there wasn't combos when she would throw. It was like one punch, one kick, and move. She did not want to like stand close to her for long periods of time because once Mackenzie gets a hold of you, she tries to like wrap you and clinch you and then jump guard, get you down, find a way.
You're going to get Bean-Air excited.
Yeah, I know. Bean-Air's already excited. Bean-Air's in chat talking about Mackenzie's ass, and she's not even on the card. And somehow he's still talking about
Joe Cole said he will nurse Baby Shark back to health when she loses.
I mean, if I wasn't married, I would too. I mean,
the horny jail is going to be full by the end.
Horny jails. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, all right. That's enough on this fight. It does seem like we're all in agreement that this fight for DFS probably not the best fight. I think betting wise, you could go either way. A couple of us on Pennington, a few of us on Ricci. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to a great DFS fight, or in my opinion, a great DFS fight where I think we're calling Medic JBC at the end of this fight because we got McKinney here. McKinney 7,300, Ribovics 8,900 for DFS, and I think this is a fight that I want to be close to all in on because I don't see how it doesn't finish. You got a guy in Ribovics who seems like he struggles early in round one, where everyone's trying to get him out there. Not as good on the ground either. If you get him in grappling exchanges, he's definitely not very good there. And I think that's where McKinney has a clear advantage if he wants to go there. And we all know McKinney throws everything into the first 5 minutes of a fight. So he's going to throw everything at Ribovics. We've seen Ribovics, though, weather storms in the first round and a half. And then in the end of the second round and third round is where he like puts it on him. He carries solid power, I think, too, even when he's tired towards the end of rounds and stuff. So this to me feels like a very simple like fight from the standpoint. I think either McKinney subs this dude in round one or finishes him in round one, or I think Ribovics knocks him out in round two, because the way McKinney fades in round two, if you do that against a guy like Ribovics, he's going to just put the pressure on you and wear you down. He almost did it to Razabov in that fight where he was getting taken down. The only difference between McKinney and Razabov is Razabov, even when he's tired, had that like dog in him to keep getting takedowns and stuff. And he still almost got crushed at the end. He got saved because he was holding on to him at the end of that fight on the cage, but he was out of it after one of those punches landed. And so Ribovics carries power. I think that this is either a knockout for him in second round or he gets subbed in round one. So I love this fight for DFS. I'm all in on it. And I like it from a betting side too, because I think you can, one of those ways you can take the finish. But JBC, what do you got on this fight here, Ribovics and McKinney?
I think Terrence gets him out of there pretty quick. I do agree that, you know, if he doesn't, then he's going to get fucking killed in round two. But I think he'll come out there in round one, do his thing, and he'll get it done. You know, we know there isn't a whole lot to say about the fight because it's exactly what you just said. You know, one guy's going to go. It's like watching Ion Kudalaba. You know, he's going to go out there and just go for it, and I fucking love it. And Terrence McKinney fucking rules, and I think he's going to win.
To be clear, I'm on that side too. If I wasn't clear on that, but I do think it's pretty straightforward. Dan, any disagreements on the fight from how I broke it down?
The only thing I would say is I think that there's some bust risk on Ribovics, even if he finds a second round finish, because like McKinney's whole thing is he'll come out, you know, give it his all for 5 minutes, then he gasses. But it's like in those 5 minutes, he could be controlling Ribovics, and Ribovics isn't scoring shit. And then you come out round two, McKinney's gassed as fuck, gets knocked out, you know, flatlined in the first 30 seconds. And, you know, you've got your second round finish. You've got a knockdown and a couple strikes. It's like 80 something points. It's not going to do it. So I like the McKinney. I mean, I like the McKinney side for a bet as a pick. And I like him significantly more as a DFS play.
Yep, I agree with you there. Showdown, Christine. Any disagreements with the crew?
I agree with you guys. The only apprehension I have is that Ribovics has not been KO'd in the last like 13 fights or so. He hasn't been finished, on his only loss is a decision. So maybe tonight's the night, his first one, and by hand of Terrence McKinney, maybe, but I have a hard time manifesting that in my mind. So it's tough. I think McKinney, what's his price?
He's 7,300.
I think is a solid play. But he's going to get 2 or he's going to get like 70 or something. And that's just how she wrote.
Yeah, I definitely think Terrence McKinney plus 400 for a sub is definitely live here. So
I think McKinney is like a significant step up in competition for Ribovics too.
Yeah.
He's been mostly fighting garbage, like regional stuff, contender series,
especially from a danger and finish upside, right, Dan? Like, especially from like a finish upside, like danger type guys. You know what I mean? Like who he's fought, and now he gets McKinney, who is either finishing guys in round 1 or he's getting finished in round 2. But like he's at least super dangerous in those first 5 minutes. I think I agree with you.
You never know if he's got a chin until somebody fucking tests it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand her point completely that he could easily not be able to weather it and then he'll win.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's a good fight.
Ribovics also has he can grapple as well. Not that he would go that route, but he has that advantage over McKinney.
Under 1.5 rounds, minus 220. I mean, yeah, that's this fight's ending in under 1.5 rounds. I'll be stunned if this fight doesn't end in under 1.5 rounds.
I think I disagree that Ribovics has the grappling advantage. I mean, Ribovics was
definitely
controlled for an entire round by.
He will attempt takedowns more, but McKinney has pretty good takedown defense.
I think,
but McKinney he could go that way.
I think McKinney is the grappling upside. I mean, I definitely would take him. I don't think Ribovics. I don't think he's very good. I watched him put himself in danger multiple times, where he's putting himself in like head and arm chokes and stuff like that. And like, he got lucky. He didn't get choked out by Kirk. Like Kirk almost had his neck multiple times, like where he gave him the backpack too. And like, I just watched him multiple times get put in bad positions where he almost like, it wasn't because of the guy. It was because of himself, like not knowing what to do or just being lower IQ when it gets down. Now, maybe he's,
I don't know how he pulled that fight off.
Yeah. He just, the pressure, like he's got good cardio, because even when he looks tired, he still carries pretty good power and stuff like that. And he's not as tired as he looks. And when you're like a grappler, or like, those guys like Kirk, who spent the whole fight on the ground, and Rusov, who spent two rounds grappling and wrestling with him, that gets fucking tiring. You know what I mean? So like the fact that he could weather all that and still be in better shape than them to like put it on him shows that he's got toughness and he's got pretty good cardio to go with it. But all right, we're mostly on the Terrence McKinney side. Let's go to another interesting fight here. We got Hooper and we got Slava Claw Borchev here, 8,500. Hooper 7,700. You guys made fun of my Slava Claw? Or is that
Slava Claus, bro? Claus. Like Santa Claus. Like Santa Claus.
Fucking Santa Claus?
Yes, like Santa Claus.
The fuck is this? He should wear a Santa hat when he walks out there.
I thought he did.
Did he?
Oh, man, I'd have to give him the hat bump if he did.
Oh, no. The only one who has a hat bump on this card is it Rusov?
Rusov.
Yeah, he's the only one I think that gets the hat bump.
He's the only hat guy. That's the hat play.
This is one of those. This is another one of those fights where it kind of just depends where this fight is. If this fight is standing, Slava Claus is gonna knock this dude out. And if it's on the ground, Hooper is gonna probably finish him. the problem with Hooper is it's kind of like Mackenzie Dern. You can be an amazing grappler and amazing once he gets to the ground, but you still got to get it there. And that's his problem. His takedowns are not very good. So, where do you see this fight playing out? Do you see this fight playing out on the feet where Slava Claus has the advantage, great kickboxer, super dangerous on the feet? Or do you see this fight playing out on the ground? I think Hooper's pretty live. I'm on the Hooper side here. I'm on the dog side. But, I get it. If he doesn't get the takedowns or he doesn't get it to the ground, he's probably going to get, hospitalized pretty quickly. So, JVC, I feel like this is a fight that you're going to like and want to target for DFS.
Yeah, for DFS, I definitely like both sides. But as far as a bet, I think Chase Hooper is going to fucking get him. His striking's been improving. I think that he's going to be able to use his length to get him to the ground and finish him on the ground.
I
like it. That's the way I'm leaning too. Dan, what do you got here?
I'm on Hooper as well. Like it is such a like weakness against weakness fight or strength against strength fight. It's like the striker versus the grappler at like the most extreme ends of the spectrum you could possibly have. But the thing I like about Chase is like, I mean, we've definitely seen him get the shit kicked out of him, but that was down at featherweight. He's upper class now, so probably not like having to kill himself to cut the weight. So durability probably isn't as much of a concern. And like, he's young, man. I think he's been in the UFC since, he's been fighting professionally since he was 18, so he is like a lifelong fighter. And like JBC said, he's constantly improving. So like, there are massive holes in his game, but we should be seeing those like start to get filled in as time goes by. And as far as Slava Claus goes, like, the opposite is true. He pretty much is who he is at this point. And people will bring up like, he's the striking coach at American Top Team. So, he's in the room with all these great wrestlers. He's getting in that work. He knows he's going to, at this point, he is who he is. He's been at American Top Team. So like the wrestling and the grappling has never improved, and it likely isn't. So, I'm going to put my money behind the younger guy who should be constantly improving. And it's already extremely proficient in an area that his opponent is just completely fucking helpless in.
Well, to be fair, though, I think both guys are proficient in areas that they're both not very good at. You know what I mean? It's like complete opposite. Like Borchev on the feet and Hooper, there's like a very big difference between. I know Hooper has the length and he's tall, but there's a big difference between these two guys on the feet. Just as big of a difference, in my opinion, as Hooper has on the ground with Slava Claus. So
right, from what we know, but I guess the point that I was more trying to make is that like at the stages that they're at in their respective careers, I think we can expect constant improvement.
Yeah, growth. Hooper has room to grow, whereas Borchev is more just what he is. He is what he is. I got you. Showdown, Christine. What do you got? What do you got in this fight?
I agree with you guys. I do like Hooper here. I think this is just as pure as you can grappler versus striker matchup. And I do like, if Hooper's forced to fight to stay on the feet with Borchev, then he's probably going to get knocked out. And alternatively, if the fight goes to the mat, he's probably going to get submitted, or Hooper wins by decision. For DFS, I think I'm with the field on this one. I do think there's going to be a finish, and they're at decent prices. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. AJ not agreeing with the show here. Someone's got to go on mute, but AJ not agreeing with the show. He's got Borchev knocking out. He's knocked the shit out of this clown. Whoa. All right.
Why is Chase Hooper a clown? That's mean.
He's got him by hospital, JBC.
Hospital.
He's got him by hospital.
Hooper spent his fair share of time in the hospital. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he's young, right, JBC? He's young. He'll figure it out. He'll get back up.
Oh, he gets the new dad bump as well.
Oh man, Chase Hooper
Damn.
Dad.
Not a boy anymore. A man. A
full-grown man.
He still looks kind of like a boy. Not gonna lie.
Another person.
That's a grown-ass man now.
All right, let's go to a few grown-ass men here. In Despaigne versus Cortez-Acosta. Acosta, 7,200.
You keep trying. You keep trying. It's
Despaigne, whatever you want to call him.
Just keep firing.
JVC, we could just spend a whole show where I go through names and you just correct me, and I could still get them wrong when I go and pronounce them.
If you wanted to make it easy on yourself, you could just go by Despaign's given name as listed on his topology page, which is Beast Mode. So that's what he has listed as his given name.
Yeah, but that's not fun. That's not fun. You got
you gotta at least try.
The whole point is to make fun of me when I pronounce the names wrong. When I mispronounce the names, that's the whole point of the show.
There aren't that many hard ones to pronounce on this card, and you butchered the only one.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna end up like pronouncing the hardest name on the card right, and somehow in these easy ones I'm gonna pronounce
Santa Claus right.
Fuck Santa Claus. I hate Christmas. Okay, I'm done. All right. JVC, what do you got here? This does feel like a fight that's going to finish, but what do you see here in this fight? 9K for Despaigne. Seems like a decent price tag.
I really, really, really want to fade Despaigne, and I'm not going to do it because last time I got fucking killed doing it. And I just, the length advantage is just so pronounced. And Cortez-Acosta, like when he first came in, we were thinking he was going to have a lot of power, and he really hasn't shown it. So as far as a bet, I like Despaigne, but for DFS, if Despaigne is really going to be like 50% owned and Cortez is going to be down to teens, I mean, if Cortez wins, he's nutted, right? So I'm going to get over the field on Cortez, even though I think he gets fucking killed.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see a path where Cortez finds a way to win this fight. And I feel like the worst thing you can do is kind of what happened in Robelis's first fight, where the guy just decides to rush him because he fell, and then he gets up and the guy just decides to rush at him and then just gets cold clock as he's moving backwards.
This shit was so funny, man.
It's like the worst idea you can do is like challenge the guy like that. The first guy who makes this dude fight a full 5 minutes and gets him into the second round has probably the potential to win the fight against Robelis. It's just, will Cortez do that? I don't know. Can he stay safe is the other question, but we haven't seen Robelis really fight like an actual like full round or a round and a half, even like nothing. We've seen him fight for like 30 seconds in a fight. We don't know what this dude looks like a round in. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to take shots on Cortez for DFS because I think that anyone who puts this dude past the first round is going to be live. So I'm actually not as high from a betting side. I'm just high from a DFS side because I think if Robelis wins, it's going to be an early knockout, which is going to score well. And I think if Cortez wins, I think he could do enough later in the fight where maybe Robelis kind of wears down and then he finds a way to get him out of there and by volume or something like that. So I like this fight a lot for DFS. I'm not as high on it from a betting side. Dan, what are you on it here for DFS?
Well, I'm on Despaigne as a pick, but I pretty much mostly agree with what y'all are saying. I think this fight is, pretty close to a lock. I don't see how either side is an optimal in a win. The leverage on Cortez-Acosta is obviously massive. I don't want to fade Despaigne. I mean, like this guy, like you said, he was moving backwards, throwing a punch off balance and just fucking, I mean, it's Josh Parisian, but he's got the death touch, man. And I'm not fading that shit. Like at 9K, no. But again, like, what do we know about this guy outside of, forget the first round. What do we know about this guy outside the first minute? Fucking nothing. What we do know about Acosta, though, is that he doesn't really have grappling or wrestling. He's pretty much just like a pure striker. So like this matchup for Despaigne is like, it's pretty choice, especially
they're trying to feed it to him. They're trying to feed it to him.
This is UFC trying to give him a perfect matchup. 100%. They want to move this dude up.
I've seen, I mean, not particularly impressed with Cortez-Acosta's game, but he does throw volume. He's been in 5-round fights. Like we've seen him, go into the later rounds, and the boxing, it's pretty decent. Like all told, I mean, he's like a former baseball player, and you can kind of see it the way he like wings that overhand right. Like sometimes it looks like he's throwing a baseball. So yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I like both sides for DFS. I think Despaigne wins quickly, but I think you got to take both sides for this, and I'm going to take both sides heavily.
Man, the more we talk about it, though, the more I'm just like, I should probably just bet Acosta here. Like we do not know what this dude's going to look like even 2.5 minutes in. You're right, Dan. Like we have no friggin' idea.
And we might still not know after the
Yes,
we
might
still not know.
It's true. We might not. So shout out Christine, who you got winning this fight, and do you like it for DFS?
Yeah, I think this fight is probably going to be on the winner. The inside the distance line was like minus 900 or something like that. I like Despaigne. I mean, Despaigne has upside that we want, because if he's going to win, it's going to be an early finish. You guys said it perfectly. He's not been tested after the first round. So anything outside of that is an unknown. And Acosta, he's durable. We know he can go 15 minutes. He does have a little bit of a disadvantage in reach for this one, so he might have trouble, getting in the pocket. Outside of that, if Despaigne is going to gas out in the later rounds, then I definitely like Waldo Acosta, but I prefer the upside of Despaigne, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's afraid of that first minute knockout, and they get the bonus and stuff like that Despaigne has. He definitely has that quick finish upside where he hits that bonus, and if you don't have,
it's a 6-inch reach disadvantage for Acosta.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to have a disadvantage when it comes there. That dude is massive. Like
he's got the longest recorded reach in UFC history. So.
And he's fucking tall on top of it. Like it's not just like he's going to have that advantage.
Human being, and the way he throws up, like I said this last time we broke down one of his fights. It's like a guy that size should not be able to throw up kicks that fucking fast, dude. Like it's just not. He shouldn't be able to do that shit. He's going to be a lot of fun. I've heard him compared to a lot of people have been comparing him to like Ngannou when he was first coming up. Which probably a little premature for that, but you can see it.
Like, they should have had him fight Derek Lewis.
What's that?
They should have had him fight Derek Lewis.
That would have been much better. Yeah, I think they'll probably meet up at some point.
That would have been badass. Hopefully, we see that fight at some. I kind of hope he.
Yeah, today. I mean,
because that's a great fight for Derek Lewis too, in a way. Because
Derek Lewis has to be favored in that fight.
Has to be. I mean, yeah. But we'll see. Let's go to the next fight here. We got Sean Woodson, 9,100 on DraftKings versus Bruce Leroy Caceres. I will say Bruce Leroy because I like that nickname better than the last nickname Dan tried to make me say. But I really like Woodson in this fight here. I think this is a fight where he just kind of pieces him up, uses his length, his reach, boxing, and just kind of volumes him up here. From a finish standpoint, we've seen Woodson even in decisions, I guess, have decent, decent days. But that fight, I think he got some takedowns in that fight. Like, I don't know if he's going to be getting some takedowns here, but if he does get a finish, he could score well. And I would assume, Dan, that he is going to be lower owned than like the Despaignes and some of these other 9K guys we're going to talk about. So what's the ownership looking like on Woodson?
Woodson's going to be like mid to low teens. So
Yeah.
not used very heavily at all.
Seems like a good leverage play. It feels like.
I think so. I think he's a little bit more live for a finish than the odds imply, which right now has him sitting around like 20%. But he's got great boxing, great striking, and I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility that late round 2, early round 3, which would be less than ideal, but I think he can find a finish later in the fight, just like through kind of attrition and just kind of sort of piling it on, because you see it, like he seems to like pick up steam later in his fights, and he really starts to like piece people up. I just think he's got him on the feet all day. Caceres on the other side, or see that I fucked that name up. Bruce Leroy.
It's not as funny when you fuck the names up, Dan. I'll throw that out there right now.
No, I'm not having a good time with that. But yeah, I mean, I like Caceres way less as a DFS play, even at that price. I just don't. I mean, a decision win, could he get there? Maybe, probably not. I don't really like his chances to win a decision all that much. I'm like firmly on Woodson from a pick and bet side, but I don't like this fight too much. Woodson's a good pivot piece, though, man. Like, he can definitely find a finish.
I think he's a solid leverage play in DFS. If you're just looking from an ownership and leverage standpoint, you plug him in over Despaigne or some of these other 9K guys that are going to be higher owned, and hope that he gets a finish and somehow the other guys don't, you know what I mean? Or they don't get a quick finish and he somehow outscors them.
This top end isn't like particularly flush, It's like you're not really sacrificing. You're not sacrificing a ton. I mean, you've got like Oberg, Rebecky, Despaigne, Ribovics all in there, and like you think Ribovics is okay. All of these guys are just okay, Well,
so, I think there's 1 or 2 guys that people are going to view as by far the best plays. We've talked about one, and then there's one more we haven't talked about in Rebecky that I think everyone's going to view as probably like the best 9K plays, and then all the other guys are going to go, after those guys. And Woodson's definitely lower down the list, I think, just personally in that 9K range. So from an ownership standpoint, Showdown Christine, you're shaking your head. Do you like Sean Woodson for DFS?
Yeah, I like Woodson. I think he's the better boxer. I think he likes to keep a high pace, and he fights behind the jab. He's durable. He's from the area, I believe, so I like the hometown cooking. And I think that I don't think it's going to score anything outstanding. And I think Caceres, if he was going to win this, it would be probably by decision. If he was smart, he would utilize his grappling, but he doesn't tend to do that. And I like Woodson here.
All right, JVC, final one here. Everyone's on Woodson. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have similar takes to you guys. I think Woodson can definitely find a finish here. I bet him inside the distance at plus 380. He's a vastly superior boxer. I think Caceres is used to having a reach advantage in his fights, and that is not going to be the case here in terms of being able to keep his opponent at distance. Woodson's going to be able to touch him. And like Christine said, if Caceres does not utilize his grappling, he's going to get beat to death and probably end up in the hospital.
All right, hospital. I kind of agree with you too. The reach thing too. I like that point. That's a good point. Big advantage for Sean Woodson here. Let's go to the next fight. We've got Ferreira, Rebecky here. Ferreira is 6,800. Rebecky is 9,400. JBC, did I say that name right? Is it Ferreira?
I honestly don't have any fucking idea on that one.
Yeah,
I think you got Rebecky wrong though. It's Rebecky, or it's
yeah. I was gonna say Dan's Polish. Dan's Polish. I can tell you.
Rebecky, what?
Rebecky. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's not Rebecca, because as I was taping him, like I was sitting there, I was like, the announcers keep getting his fucking name wrong. Like it couldn't be more simple. And then they were like talking about it. They're like, no, it's pronounced this way.
Metallic Rebecky, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, shit. I'm never getting that one right then. It's always going to be Rebecky.
Of course, Dan, the Polish guy, fucking gets the Polish name.
That's all right. That's okay.
Just real quick, too, I just want to like circle back to Woodson real fast. Not the last slate he was on, but the one before that, he was 9,600 and was single digit owned and was in the optimal at like 107 points because the rest of the range just fucking sucked. Yeah. So you can keep that in mind as well.
There you go. All right. Dan, why don't you start us off with this fight then? You might as well just keep it going here. What do you see here?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Rebeski's a huge favorite. Rightfully so. He's got insane upside. Let me see how he ranks out.
Just tell me if you're going to be over or under on him for DFS or with the field, because he's going to be massively popular. So yeah, I think this is a good discussion.
He's going to be like 45 to 50. And I think if you look at it in terms of like, he's going to be 45 to 50, Despaigne is going to be 45 to 50. Like, who do you want to go with more? It's like, you put both of them in the same lineup. It kind of like ties your hands on what you can do with the rest of it, like ownership and salary wise. So I haven't actually started building yet, but I will say that Despaigne, they're both, giving the same ownership, and like ownership plays in like fairly heavily to my rankings. And I still have Despaigne just a couple points better than Rebecky. The thing that scares me about that, and why I think I kind of want to, I want to probably be closer to the field with Rebecky, is that Ferreira can be taken down, Ferreira can be taken down very easily, but he's got really good get up and scrambles. Like, he'll use sub attempts to get up. So I think this is one of those situations where, Rebecky gets a ton of takedowns en route to an early finish, just by virtue of the fact that Ferreira will not stay down. Yeah, and again, I think this fight is lined appropriately. I think Rebecky should. So
you're higher on Rebecky than Despaigne?
Man, I really don't know. It's like the numbers are telling me Despaigne, but Rebecky is.
From what you just said, you sound higher on Rebecky than you are Despaigne.
That could be. I mean, I like them both, but the problem for me is that like Rebecky is usually like the prototypical type of play that I like to go under on. It's like a guy with mostly he's got so much finish upside. Rebecky's a really strong play, man. There isn't too much else in that range to really love. So I don't know if
I think he's by far the best play in the 9. I think he's way better than Despaigne in the 9K range.
You guys know exactly what I'm going to do after we talked about Rebecky and Despaigne.
Yeah, you're going to jam them. I know.
No,
you're going to
fucking Oberg, bro. I got Oberg the most.
Oh, shit. Okay. So why don't you like, or why are you lower?
But I'm saying Oberg is every bit. We could talk about Oberg when we get to Oberg.
Well, no, but it's a discussion for the 9K range, though. It's not even about the fight. It's the range. Like,
I think that they all have similar upside. I think they all have similar upside. Oberg could easily get a knockout off the rip against Alonso. So and if Oberg's going to be way, way lower, I'm just going to play them all 45%.
He's like 10% lower.
The one thing I'll say about Alonso is I think he's a little more live than Ferreira is, or Ferreira.
Sure, but for DFS, you play for upside. I mean,
that's true. That's a good point. All right.
Like, I don't care if Oberg doesn't get 100. I don't care if he gets 0 or 80.
Well, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
so what are you doing with Rebecky then?
I'm playing them all 45 to 50%. Hit the Rebecky, Oberg, Despaigne.
So you're at the field on Rebecky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that kind of like goes to a broader point. Like, you can get up to all these guys because there are so many live dogs and so many cheap, viable options. And we've talked about this before, and I've seen like some discussion about it this week where people are like, well, you can leave a bunch of salary and get different. It's like, when everybody is talking about leaving salary, that's when you don't want to be leaving salary. It's like everybody already has that idea, and it's not even. It's a shitty idea. It's a shitty idea at that everybody has, because it's like, yeah, sure.
JVC, you talk about this a lot with these.
Don't leave salary. Play like if you're leaving salary, like, okay, let's say you're leaving salary and then your lineup has Trey Waters and you don't have Rebecky in it. What are the odds that Trey Waters beats Rebecky? It's like 20% maybe. And then you're going to need everything else to go right as well. Why not just take Rebecky?
Yeah. What's normal salary for you that you would leave like in 150? I'm not even saying like one line, like in 150. What's
So-
like the min salary for you?
On
said
a
before-
slate like this where it's not like 14 fights, it's only 12. I think you can leave a little more. Like I think I'm today 49,400 would be my floor. I'm only leaving 600, which is more than every other sport for me. This is the most I leave in pretty much any sport. But if there's like a 14 fight card, even a 15 fight card like UFC 300, then I'll only leave 300 or 400 because you don't fucking have to leave it.
Yeah, there's so many, and there's in those cards too. There's probably a lot more live like a lot more of those like closer line
Dude,
live dogs.
The guy at 6,900 on this card is plus 330 to finish.
Yeah,
it's a great. Like I said, I was talking about Oberg, but Menafield's also a good play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, and we'll get to that fight here next. I just want to get Showdown Christine's takes on this fight. Showdown Christine, what are you doing with Rebecky? Are you over or under the field or with the field on him?
I think I'm over on Rebecky or Rebecky, however you say it. Sorry. And you guys were all spot on. I agree with everything you said. He's explosive power. He can grapple. He throws wild punches. Just to play devil's advocate, the only thing is he likes to, throw wild punches to open up for takedown attempts. And Rebecky is very skilled in his scrambling abilities, and he's, I think, a little better on the mat. Having said that, Rebecky was also training. He was training for a different fight with Joel Alvarez, who dropped out. And so he was already preparing for a fight, and then that got canceled. And now this fight is happening. So he was already in preparation for, and his opponent wasn't. So that's kind of like another tier to that. So
All right.
yeah, I like it.
Sounds good. Let's go to the next fight here. Christine, never apologize for getting a name wrong, by the way. This show, we get names wrong all the time.
I get nothing.
Well, I feel like you all said it differently, and I was like, what's real?
I'm never wrong, John.
I'm sorry. Besides JVC, who's just perfect at everything. The guy never gets anything wrong, never loses. He's just a winner. He just always gets everything right. I mean, fuck. My bad. All right, JVC, I'm round robining all your UFC bets today. I swear to God, you better not get one fight wrong. I will be so.
I got a ton of fucking dogs today, actually.
I can't wait. I got a few dogs too on this card. It should be fun. All right, Oberg, Menafield, Oberg 9,300, Menafield 6,900. JVC, I want to start off with you because it seems like you're really interested in this fight for DFS. Talk about why you like this fight and why you like Oberg so much specifically.
Because Menafield's about to go to the hospital. I think Menafield is going to stand there and fucking try and swing because that's his pathway to fucking win. And sure, if he catches him, then he could win. But I think that Oberg is just going to put this guy in the fucking ground.
Yeah, it feels like, well, by the way, too, Menafield's last or two fights before was it Jimmy Crute?
Jimmy Crute fight, yeah.
Like, if you watch those fights, first of all, it took him 5 rounds to get Jimmy Crute out of there, technically. And he should have finished this dude how many times before? Like, it's wild to watch this dude because he's got all the talent, it feels like.
He's a fucking idiot. He's an idiot.
He's just boneheaded. He'll hit you so hard and you'll be like wobbling in front of him, and then he's like, let me take you down.
Dude, oh my God. Watching Alonzo Menafield makes me so mad.
The Jacoby fight, he had Dustin Jacoby hurt, and for whatever reason, just like backed off of him. He had him hurt.
Dude, he's
like, all right, cool.
Let's
fucking box. Like,
he is the dumbest, man.
We started off the show with guys with low fight IQ, and this is one of those fights where, like, dude has all the talent in the world, but he's just going to do something stupid where you're going to be like, yep, that's why you lost this fight. You're an idiot.
Hospital.
It does seem like a hospital fight. Dan, you're shaking your head. I feel like you're going to like this fight for DFS. What do you got?
Yeah, I love it. For all the reasons mentioned. The word out on Oberg is that like the vibe around Oberg is sort of like he's happy to kind of like just sit back, play the technical game, counter you. Isn't interested in really going for the first round finish. He kind of like on the other end of the spectrum wants to fight like kind of a smarter fight. But I guess the hope here is that Menafield, similar to the Waters Goff fight, is like where you have a counter striker. His opponent is going to press the issue because, like JBC said, like Menafield. I mean, shit. We just got done like questioning his IQ, and I'm about to say like he should know that the victory is to try to knock Oberg's fucking head off.
He's gonna shoot for takedowns now, Dan.
It's like a pretty volatile situation from that standpoint because when you got a guy with a questionable IQ, it's like, what's he gonna do? Yeah, but I mean, obviously Oberg has all the skill and power to put Menafield's lights out. Menafield got hurt by Jacoby like multiple times in that fight as well. Like they were going back and forth. It's like a pretty fun fight to watch, but Jacoby's not like the most prolific knockout artist going around. So yeah, I mean, like he can obviously be hurt. He's going to be slightly lower owned. I might want to drop his ownership a little bit and give more to Rebecky, but I think he's a good play. And I think Oberg is another one of those guys that has had like these huge ITD numbers before and has projected well in the past and has let people down a lot because his fights, have gone to decision or, they're like finishes in the later rounds, like low volume shit. So I think he's like a pretty good pivot play. Maybe not as good if he comes in where we're projecting him, but like at the end of the day, if he scores the points, you're going to need the fucking points, right? And Menafield is super live to get knocked out. So
yeah, I mean, if he gets a first round finish, he's probably going to score pretty good. He's gotten a lot of first round finishes outside of his last fight. The next 3 fights, first round. So it just kind of depends. If it does take longer, though, he can be lower volume, lower output, and he might not score as well. But we'll see. I think Menafield tries to. What?
Yeah, did you rewatch the fight against Kennedy?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god, I love that one. The Kennedy Oberg fight was just so fucking nasty.
I have to go. I'm gonna have to watch that.
All right, Christine, give us your take here. Do you like Oberg for DFS, or are you on the Menafield side?
I like Oberg. They're pretty evenly matched for me. I think that they're both, finishers. And I think they both can gas out at any time. The only thing against Aldridge that I don't like is, he's coming from Australia. He can gas out, and he has a tendency to be a little wilder in his shots. Whereas like Menafield, I think he is dangerous. And he's flat-footed and he kind of like marches towards the opponent, and Oberg is lighter on his feet and throws with more volume. So I think in a matchup like this, if it's going to go to decision and there's no finish at all, which we always have these fights where everyone thinks there's going to be a finish and, then you hit the 3rd round and everyone's pissed off. In that scenario, I think Oberg would get the win.
All right. I like it. Let's go to the co-main event here. Oh, I think one of us has to mute here, but co-main event, Ribovics and Buckley here. Buckley 8,700, Ribovics 7,500 here on this card. And I think this is a very close fight. I'm not going to argue too hard on either side of it because I kind of went back and forth for a while on who I think wins. I'm going the Buckley side. I think both guys are super dangerous. I just think Buckley's maybe a little bit better overall. And he's tough, man. He's friggin' tough as hell. And I want to see. I know Ribovics has had a lot of fights in his pro career, but 2 fights in the UFC. He's fought Dumas his last fight. Like Cedricus sucks. Let's put him in here against Buckley, which I feel like is a pretty big step up from Cedricus Dumas, and see what he's got. But he's definitely got finishing upside. Both guys have massive finishing upside. So I can see why people would be higher for DFS, 7,500 for Rosaboyev, Buckley, 8,700. JVC, I know we're on opposite sides of this fight. So talk about why you like Rosaboyev.
Bro, where's the hat?
So the hat games is just hat games putting him over Buckley.
So
you see Buckley's game. He's fucking
I love
ripped one.
like,
he's throwing the money. Like I love Buckley's game.
I like Buckley as a person, but yeah, Ruzaboyev in this fight. I'm big on Ruzaboyev. This is my biggest fight or biggest bet of the entire card. The height advantage is significant, which Buckley is usually dealing with a significant height advantage. But I don't see him being able to, get in the pocket or take him down or anything of that nature, really. Ruzaboyev, to me, is better everywhere. The only advantage that Buckley has is that he's like the fucking Hulk. So in that type of fight, I tend to take the guy that is more skilled. So I like Ruzaboyev.
All right. I guess I can see it here. I mean, Rosaboyev is definitely super dangerous and tough and everything like that. I just think Buckley at certain points, he's just like an overpowering, just tough dude to handle. Like I know Rosaboyev can, has decent, really good grappling and can sub people off his back and stuff like that. But Buckley's just like another level. I feel like he's just a tougher dude to put out there. So, Dan, what do you see here in this fight? Which side are you on? And is it a good fight for DFS? Because it feels like a good one to me.
Great fight for DFS. I picked Buckley inside the distance. I just think I think Buckley's going to finish him, man. Like you said, like he's got a much better level of previous competition. And Buckley up at welterweight has looked really good. He's looked like a totally different guy. On the flip side, you've got Ruzaboyev coming down from middleweight for some reason. And if you look at his record at welterweight, it is not good. He struggles quite a bit. And like
I think
you said,
he's lost 7 of his 8 at that.
Yeah,
weight
and
class
this is like a big step up in competition from Cedric Dumas, who doesn't even seem to know that you need the ref to stop the fight, to Buckley, who's like we just watched beat the shit out of Luque. I mean, I honestly didn't think too hard about it. It seemed pretty obvious to me that Buckley was the side here. And then from a DFS standpoint, like Buckley at like 44% to end inside the distance, he's like, these are the spots that I love. He's the favorite. He's going lower owned than Ruzaboyev by 10%, which is like quite a bit. I really like the Buckley side, man.
Yeah, well, people see the price tag on Rosaboyev and the finishing upside, and they're like, okay,
and the hat. And
they say, live dog that can knock this dude out cold and give me 100 plus, DFS points. Like, how many other guys in that mid 7K range do you see with like that type of upside?
All of them today.
Goff,
Terrence McKinney.
All of them.
Goff, McKinney, Acosta,
Menafield.
I think only McKinney, honestly.
So here's the thing too about Ruzaboyev is that he so in order, it's like Ruzaboyev, Goff.
You don't think Acosta's finishing Despaigne early in this first
he
round?
Could. Why not?
Why not? But if I told you,
could do it late.
I told you Rosaboyev finished this dude in the first minute, I don't think you'd be shocked.
Yeah, because he is.
I mean, yeah, that could.
That's not my point.
Happen.
My point is that
the hat, baby.
I think you'd be shocked if Cortez-Acosta went out there and finished him in the first minute. That's
in the
what
first
I'm saying.
minute, yes. I will.
That's what I'm saying, though. There's a difference.
30 seconds.
There's a difference. Like if I told you Terrence McKinney finished that dude in the first minute, you'd be like, well, that's what he does. He's T-Rex. Like he goes out there and finishes people early. Like there's not many guys like that.
Ruzaboyev, Goff, and McKinney are all around like 35%. Acosta is going to come in sub 20, and Acosta is fighting a guy that we know fucking nothing about, dude.
That wasn't my point. I agree with you. He's a good
bro. What
play.
if he gasses after 15 seconds and not a minute?
Well, we've seen him fight for like 30 seconds, I think. So. he should be good for at least 30 seconds. But all right, get back to the point here. Dan, anything else here on this fight?
Nah, man, go Buckley. It was funny too because when I was watching Buckley's last fight against Luque, you could actually hear us rooting for Buckley.
Yes, you can hear us screaming for Buckley.
So
Love it.
fun.
All right, Christine, give us your take here. Buckley, Ribovics.
I'm on the Buckley side, and I agree with what Dan said about the going up in weight, no, down in weight, sorry. And just because of how tall and lanky he is, I think it doesn't seem like the right move for him. And Buckley's a local guy, so we have another, home cooking type of situation. And I mean, Ribovics is a submission expert. He's got a ton of Kimura. He's got a ton of Kimura subs, and I think it's going to be really tough for him to actually keep Buckley down. So I think that is another factor. And yeah, I like Buckley. I like him to get a finish, maybe late first round, second round.
Yeah, I like it. Second round, second or third round finish. I can see it. So
just like another thing in the favor of Buckley is like we've seen Buckley, we've seen more of him. We've seen him go deeper into fights. Ribovics is sort of like not quite to the same extreme, but he's kind of in the same bucket as Despaigne, where like if you look at all of his recent wins, they're all in the first round. They're all first round finishes. How does he look outside of the first round? Who the fuck knows, man? So,
yeah, exactly. We don't know. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we don't know. He's only fought 44 fucking times.
Yeah, but look at this shit. Look at all of these finishes. Like
they're all around one. It's just round one.
This guy has been to decision 8 times in 45 fights.
It is impressive.
Yeah.
So it is pretty impressive. I mean, it's
8
very
decisions.
You guys are not factoring the hat enough.
Yeah, we're not. But look at Buckley.
It's a non-factor. That's why
he does not get fit. He does not get finished like early for the most part. Like even when he loses, like it's later in the. He's a tough dude. Like I don't think Ribovics is gonna be able to finish him early. So what does he look like? Second round. I think Buckley's got the advantage. I like him. All right, let's go to the main event. Lewis NASCIMENTO. Lewis 8,400. NASCIMENTO 7,800. I struggle with this. The one thing I struggle with this fight is like, I think the winner is optimal. I think Derek Lewis wins. I think he wins pretty quickly too, honestly. They gave him a guy who, if you look at who Lewis like loses to, right? Like guys who can wrestle and grapple and stuff like that. And then guys who have close to matching his type power, because he obviously has like some of the biggest power we've ever seen, but guys who are close to, and that's not NASCIMENTO in my opinion. Yeah, if he can get him down, he'll have an advantage because everyone would pretty much, but that's not really his game. Like, so I don't think Derek Lewis is going to be afraid of his power at all. And if that's the case, this is like a perfect matchup for someone like Derek Lewis to just go out there and finish this dude really quickly because he's not going to be afraid of anything coming back at him. And his power, we know, is top tier. So I just don't see, unless NASCIMENTO can get this dude to the ground or avoid that big shot for, 5 rounds, like, which I don't see happening if it goes 5 rounds. Like, I think Lewis finds a shot. So what are you doing here, JVC?
The Almeida fight went 5 rounds.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is we laugh and then it goes 5 rounds. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
But my point is, like, I think this is a perfect fight for Derek Lewis. I feel like they gave him a good fight here.
Me and Dan have been talking about this all week. I'm betting on Lewis for the same reasons that you just spoke about. I don't think that NASCIMENTO has anything for him power-wise. He obviously is a better grappler just by default. But, that is the type of person that can beat Derek Lewis. It's like if you can grapple at all, like if he gets a hold, if Derek Lewis wings that one punch and he misses and NASCIMENTO gets him down, he'll win. Like, I don't see this fight getting out of the first round.
Yeah, but
So-
every fight starts back on the feet.
I agree.
I.e. Almeida.
Listen, I think he'll get. I think he'd be able to finish him a little better than Almeida, but I see Nascimento having a decent shot, and but I'm on the Lewis side. I'm going to go over on Nascimento in DFS just because I think people are going to prioritize Chase Hooper, Ruziboev, Billy Goff, McKinney, and I think you might be able to get some low ownership on Nascimento, and there's obviously heavy upside in any heavyweight main event or main event.
Yeah, Dan, I feel like this is a main event. You're definitely going to say, I'm locking it, I'm shoving it. Which side are you on, like, more, I guess?
Oh, I'm on the Lewis side. Like, I've been arguing, like JVC said, we've been discussing this. I know, obviously, the grappling advantage always lies in Derek Lewis's opponent, but, like, if you watch him fight people who take him down, like, he's not like technically sound or proficient on the ground by any means, but, like, he has that explosive get up where he just decides he's going to fucking get up, and he gets up. And, like, he's done that against much, like, better heavyweights, much better grapplers, wrestlers than Nascimento. I think, it's not always the best argument to fully back someone because their opponent sucks, but, like, I really think Nascimento sucks. And I've got some facts about Nascimento. I don't think he poses much of a submission threat here, despite the distinct advantage. The last person Nascimento submitted was Don'Tale Mayes back in 2020.
Your boy, Don'Tale Mayes.
Oh,
that was right before.
Fought.
That was right before
fought,
he got knocked the fuck out by Chris Daukaus in 45 seconds. Which, if you get knocked out by Chris Daukaus, you're never getting my fucking money ever. Never.
I'm with Dan here. That's the best point of the whole show.
And then his last three, like, Nascimento's best path here is clearly, like, a sub or grappling him for 5 rounds without getting knocked out. Nascimento's last 3 wins. Split decision with Tanner Bozer, split decision with Ilir Latifi, and then a unanimous decision against Don'Tale Mayes. I don't know why the fuck they fought again, but, I guess we needed to run that one back. Dude,
Nascimento by TKO is only plus 400.
Here's the thing. DFS-wise, those are all the reasons, I'm going with my boy, my personal GOAT, Derek Lewis. The argument for Nascimento on the other side, DFS-wise, though, is that basically any win, his path to victory, he's going to be optimal. And, you cannot as much. One of my bigger, like, Achilles heels lately has been being overconfident in certain spots and being like, there's no way this fucking guy, a couple weeks ago.
I call that the Tony.
I'm going 80. Do the big T.
I
feel slighted here that you didn't say the JSU because I'll go all in on this motherfucker. Like, at least Tony goes like 75, 80%. Like, I'll just hit the lock button on this.
I'll do the JSU. I'm tempted to do the JSU and just fucking slam Derek Lewis. But the fact of the matter is, in total, this is one of those spots that I fucking love where the main event is projected to be owned like 65% in total. I can get over on both of these guys and be like fairly split. I can go 50, I can go 60-40 and be well over both of them. So why wouldn't I do that? People aren't going to play this fight enough. And I don't understand why the
big boy slapping meat, baby.
Yeah, I don't understand why the field does the shit that it does. Maybe it's like,
if you think about it too, if
average.
It somehow did go 5 rounds, Dan, at 7,800, Nascimento's probably covering that price tag because he's probably getting some grappling and takedowns and control time and stuff like that. So
Nascimento is like in really any sort of win, he is like highly, highly probable for the optimal.
Yeah, I agree. This fight should be locked. If you want to go 60-40 like Dan, I'm definitely just going to play Lewis on all my teams. JVC is going to probably be higher on Nascimento for DFS, but he likes Lewis as a bet. Showdown Christine, where are you at with this fight? And, which side are you leaning?
I like Derek Lewis here. I think I agree with Dan. Nascimento's not that great. Don'Tale Mayes, that's kind of a joke. And I think both of them.
Right at the punchline, she left us. She thinks both of them and clicks. She's out of here. So we'll figure that out when she comes back. If she comes back, Showdown Christine, let us know if you're okay. Hopefully you're okay. Jeez. But here she is. Here she's back.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome back.
Right at the punchline.
You might as well finish your punchline here. You were right at the good part, and you left us hanging.
Derek Lewis wins KO. That's the punchline.
There we go.
I thought you were gonna drop off again. Like I thought you were gonna say that and just click the out button. Like I'm out of here, you fuckers.
The Tony. That's also the Tony. Just to leave in the middle.
Make there.
Make me there.
It's so good. Better play in DFS, Buckley or Lewis? You guys have a take on that? I feel like it's Lewis. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go to the betting side here. Let's give our favorite bet on the old card here. One bet. That's all you got. You got to give it to the people. Dan, I'll start with you. What's your favorite bet on the card?
Let me get you know what? I kind of like Jake Hadley by sub, the plus 525.
All right, I like
the
that. Big odds too. We'll go there. JBC, favorite bet on the card.
Oberg inside the distance, minus 115.
Oberg inside the distance, minus 115. Showdown Christine, you got a favorite bet on this card?
Yes, I'm gonna go with Fight Parlay. It's on the prop. It's on one of the selections. And you can do Billy Goff to win and over 1.5 for plus 250.
Ooh, Billy Goff in over 1.5. You said plus 250.
There's a tab on DraftKings that's called Fight Parlays. And you could do you could do fighter and round. It's one of my favorites.
Love that. All right, I'll have to check that out. My favorite bet, I'm going a T-Rec Terrence McKinney by sub plus 400. I feel like that's a nice number for Terrence McKinney here.
I like that better than mine.
So, all right, let's get out of here, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Almost an hour and a half long. Appreciate everyone watching. Hit the like button on your way out. Come check out Rumpier Sports. RPS 15 is the promo code still for 15% off your first monthly or weekly at Rumpier Sports. We have single sport packages as well. So if you want to get in for the rest of the NBA playoffs, NASCAR, pretty much every sport, golf, we got single sport and we've got the full on package. If you guys want to check us out, RPS 15 is that promo code. Hope you enjoyed it. I think there's an NBA show coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Fuck Mangone. Shout out AP. And that's going to do it for us. So for Dan, JBC, and Showdown Christine, I'm JSU. Let's all run pure tonight, and let's hopefully get some winners in the Discord later. We're out of here. Peace.